I really don't have the words to describe how pathetic that game was. Bears lose 30-13 on the road in LA against the Chargers. And man, that game was bad from the get-go. I mean, this is par for the course for the Bears when they play in LA. They've lost like their last 7 in a row when playing on the road against an LA-based team. And it's just that game just got so bad from the get-go. I mean, they never had a shot. They never had a shot, and it's frustrating. First play of the game, Tyson Bagent throws a great pass, deep ball to Mooney, goes for 41. Mooney should have actually kept going. Could have been 6, but they blew the play dead after the flag was thrown. So it's down where he caught it. Bears can't do anything with the ball afterwards. They punt it away. That's at least 3 points off the board. At least 3. And after that, it was over. Justin Herbert carved up the Bears defense like they were Thanksgiving turkey. The defense looked just as bad as it did last season or early this year. I mean, they could not stop a thing. And it's just absolutely brutal because Herbert just walked all over him. And not really just Herbert. It was mainly Herbert being able to pass effectively. I mean, he started the game like 15 straight completions. And then Austin Eckler he had his renaissance game. This was his get-right game. He'd struggled all year. This was the game that he exploded for a ton of performance. Yeah, Austin Eckler had an absolutely amazing day. I mean, the Bears defense did themselves no favors. It's just home team didn't get like any penalties. Chargers did not get penalized very much. They kept it clean, which is one thing that I was thinking was actually going to help the Bears, was that the Chargers this season had been shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of dumb penalties. They cleaned up their act today, and it was just a really tough game all around. Bagent threw 2 picks, should have had a third, but man, Bagent looked very much more mortal than he did against the Raiders defense, and frankly, it's the 2 games that they've won this year, they've looked like the better team. They've played great, but they're also facing Sam Howell and Brian Hoyer, not really top quarterbacks in this league. Justin Herbert absolutely exposed our secondary, and Austin Eckler was able to get into the second level of the defense super easily because the D-line had little to no pressure all night long. During the broadcast, I can't exactly remember what they said and when it was, but they said something about Tyson Bagent being like the first undrafted free agent or undrafted player to come out of a D2 school and like play a game in a long, long time in the NFL. I want to say since like the 50s or the 60s. Maybe it was a quarterback thing, because I have no idea, but still, that is just ridiculous. I mean, it makes sense. Bagent is now the all-time leader in passing touchdowns in NCAA history, but he looked very more. This was one of those games that these types of quarterbacks need to have to get used to the NFL level. This was his welcome to the NFL moment, if you will. Getting completely embarrassed on national television. And frankly, he should have had a passing touchdown at about another like 40 yards passing. But Velus Jones, man. This experiment with Velus Jones has flopped. Dude sucks. Velus Jones cannot catch. And for those saying, oh, well, you're wearing a Velus Jones jersey. No, I am not. It is an Allen Robinson jersey. It is not a Velus Jones jersey. I know he's wearing 12, and it's an absolute disgrace to the guy who wore it before him because he has just looked absolutely awful. He has speed and nothing else. Dude just cannot catch the football. He's wide open. There's no guy like 5 yards within him. Like 5 yards away. Like he has 5 yards of separation. And he's all alone in the end zone. And dude slips. And then the pass still hits him right in the numbers. Right in the 12. It still hits him right in the numbers. And he drops it. Oh, man, that is like the pinnacle of the existence of being a Bears fan. You get some hope. You take that shot, and it just flops into, and it then just spontaneously combusts into 1,000 shards of glass because we can't have anything good. Oh my God, that sums up the entire game and just my existence as a fan of this team. I swear, that gave me flashbacks to the wild card game in 2020 where Trubisky had probably the most perfect pass of his entire career, especially when talking about deep passes. Probably the most accurate deep ball Trubisky ever threw at the Bears, and it was literally the easiest touchdown Javon Wims was ever going to have. Goes right through his hands. Can we get some receivers that aren't DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney? Can we get like a third, like even competent pass catcher so that it's like it's just embarrassing. One thing that was cool was Darrington Evans getting his first NFL touchdown. That was kind of cool in the moment. Obviously, it didn't really matter. The Bears were completely out of the game. Oh, they weren't out of the game yet. They needed that score, but obviously the score didn't mean much of anything. And so, yeah, I don't know what happened. The offense just could not do it. The Chargers had film on Bagent, and they did a great job. Their defensive line was just too much for our O-line. Again, no Nate Davis. Big loss for the O-line. It's just offensive line couldn't really block. I mean, you got to face Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. You're screwed. And then you have Eric Kendricks as a great linebacker. They force Bagent to throw outside. They force Bagent into weird passing situations. It's not D2 football anymore. These guys that he's playing against are now coming from some of the biggest universities on the planet. And it's like tough. It's really tough. And so I think if Bagent is to continue, if Fields isn't ready for their game against New Orleans, then he's got a lot of stuff to work on when it comes to reading the defense and getting more comfortable in those awkward situations that that the quarterback doesn't necessarily like to throw in, I guess, and kind of getting used to those types of throws that he was having to make during this game that he kind of struggled with. And so if Fields comes back in, I mean, the big thing that I want Fields to take away from what Bagent has done these last 2 weeks is his presence in the pocket. Bagent looked completely more comfortable and less panicked in the pocket. Less he only had so much time. He felt like a little lighter on his feet. He felt like he was getting the ball out. I felt like he was getting the ball out a little faster. I feel like Fields can take some ideas, and I think a big thing as well is if you're moving outside the pocket, looking downfield, continuing to look for that pass, even if it is a short pass. And, of course, if it's not open, of course, taking off because Fields has the legs to do that. But, yeah, so I don't know. They just got outplayed. They were beaten by a better team. And a team that really is struggling right now. They've had a couple bad losses. Chargers aren't a terrible football team. They're definitely not in a class with the Bears. They definitely showed that. And I don't know. It's just two different teams, two different types of teams. And Herbert cooked the Bears defense all night long. No problems. Yeah, Quentin Johnston was just open in the second half on every crucial play. The Bears could not stop a crucial play. Couldn't stop a third down. And then on offense, when they were in a crucial situation, a third or fourth down, they had a terrible play call. Oh my gosh. Luke Getsy. I feel like it's every week I'm now talking about him and how frustrated I am with him. And then when we win, he looks like a competent play caller, but just the games right after we've won our games this season. So the game after the win against Minnesota and here against Los Angeles. Everything that went well for us in the games prior, just thrown out the window. And it makes no sense why we're making such terrible calls, trying to get creative on third down. Like, do stuff that works. Like, don't try to get fancy. If you know it's going to work, call the play. If you're like, we don't have anything, well, then there's the problem. You got to have a play for these types of situations. And he's just not got one. Don't even get me started on the fact that they got in a 4th and 1 situation, down 3 scores in the third quarter, in their own territory, 4th and 1, and they run it up the freaking middle. Did you not learn anything from the atrocity that you committed against Denver like a month ago at this point? Has your mind just completely forgotten about how terrible that play call was? Why did you run the same damn play again? I don't get it. It makes no sense. It's embarrassing. Why on 4th and 1 are you going to hand off to the ball carrier 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage? That makes no sense. No sense. Oh my gosh. Just could not convert a 4th down all day. Could not convert a 3rd down. Terrible play calling. I'm livid. I'm livid. Straw's pretty short here. I think Getsy and Eberflus are out at the end of the season. They're out. No questions about it. Out at the end of the season. The question is George McCaskey going to actually fire them mid-season? I know we've never done it. This is the year to do it. Eberflus is literally the worst coach by winning percentage this team has ever had. He's got a 200 win percentage. 20%. He's won 20% of the games that he's played. He's coached. That is ridiculously horrendous. I don't care. It's only 25 games. Coaches are different than quarterbacks, especially ones that need some time to develop. Coaches should know. It's just like Eberflus does not know how to coach this defense. Like, if he's such a great defensive mind, he got a head coaching job, how in the world, now that he's calling defensive plays again like he was in Indy, how is this defense so poor and so bad and so incompetent? How can they not read what's coming up next? Like, I don't get it. And it's just Eckler is able to get 2-3 extra yards just from sheer strength alone as well. So it's not all on Eberflus. The defense it doesn't have the strength. It doesn't have the talent, especially on the front line, especially on the D-line. Like, to think that 5 years ago we had Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Bilal Nichols, like, what happened to the D-line? Like, everyone's gone. To go from one of the best D-lines in franchise history to one of the worst in 5 years is embarrassing. Like, you can't keep one solid piece. And it's like, I would say Yannick Ngakoue's been a bright spot, but he hasn't because he has no one else on the line. So he's kind of like being double-teamed, and the offensive line can focus on stopping him because the rest of the D-line isn't a problem. And it's so frustrating. So they get to go to New Orleans next week. And the Saints, they sit at 4-4 right now. They're not like the most impressive team in the league. A lot of people are actually surprised they're even at 4-4. But we're going into the Superdome. I really don't give the Bears that good of a shot this week. Especially if again, major adjustments need to be made if they want to game plan well for this game against New Orleans. It's just, I don't know anymore. It frustrates me because I know this team can do better, but they just don't. They just can't be better than this. Like, this is their ceiling, apparently. I mean, it doesn't help with injuries as well. I know the secondary is pretty battered still. Jackson and Brisker didn't play in this game. So I know the secondary is still pretty battered, but, like, Jackson was available. He didn't start. He was available to play, but I don't think I really saw him at all. And if he did play, I mean, he made absolutely no difference. But it's just like, again, secondary help is huge. And the trade deadline is up this week, too. So if they're going to make a move, they got to make it now. If they're going to sell and try to just tank, now's your chance to do it. If they're going to stick with their guys and try to build with what they have, then they don't make any moves. Maybe try to add pieces and be buyers. But I have no idea where the team goes with it. Like, they're stuck in a terrible position because they're really bad, but I feel like there are some pieces there. They just have nothing going for them right now. And because George McCaskey is so reluctant to making mid-season firings and reluctant to do any major changes mid-season, we're stuck with this terrible team for the rest of the season, this terrible coaching staff for the rest of the season. Doesn't matter if we go 4-13 this year. It doesn't matter if we are 2-10 by the time Thanksgiving comes around, or whatever the end of that week would be. I think that's the end of Thanksgiving. But it's just like, it doesn't matter if we're 2-10 at that point. They're not getting fired. They're not going to get fired. It makes no sense. Yeah, So yeah, another embarrassing game from the Chicago Bears. What else is new? I don't see anything else new. I don't think you guys see anything else new. It's the same old song and dance that we've been going through for the past season and a half. And with that, I think I'm done. I have exhausted my energy with it. I'm going to move on. Move on to next week. If you liked it, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of these, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next video.